there's nothing like I didn't create anything brand new or crazy. It's basically standing on the shoulders of giants, people out there who've shared information and just taking bits and pieces of all those pieces of information and just kind of trying to use it to create something new. I mean, it's like writing music, right? Intentional. I think it just like as I was playing and exploring, it is just sort of just sometimes I just throw something on the breadboard and just go like, what's gonna happen?
Yeah. Hello, and welcome to the 4th episode of Not Another Guitar Pedal. It's the show where I come on here and talk about guitar pedals, guitar effects, and things that make your guitar sound not like a guitar. And today we're going to be talking about the ancient echoes from wonderful audio technology. And, just before I get started here, I wanted to give a big shout out to Ralf for both sending me this unit to talk about and also for taking time out of his busy day to talk to me about the pedal and all the things that make it super cool. Ralf is the sort of sole proprietor, marketer, pedal builder, all those hats, along with being, a family man and having a career outside of this. And, he spends his free time making these units for us to, have creative endeavors with. And I just find it incredibly inspiring that, we can still find the time to do the things that we love to do, despite all of the, responsibilities of life kind of getting in the way. But without getting too sentimental, let's talk about this pedal. So what is the Ancient Echoes? Well, at its core, it is a modulated, if you want, reverb pedal. The Ancient Echoes is a mysterious pedal that invites you to sort of stretch your preconceptions about how reverb is achieved and what reverb can be. Internally, the Ancient Echoes is a PT2399 and Belton Brick based system. It is these two components that largely produce the reverb sound that you hear. But it is really the routing of these two components that make this unit special. The Ancient Echoes is basically a delay into a reverb.
So it's the reverb is the Belton Brick, and then the pre-delay is a PT2399.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. I mean, because when I'm twisting the echo knob, that's the one that's most interacting with the PT2399 that you put in there, right?
Yeah, and it's the delay time.
It's delay time, and I love that because I'll be twisting it towards the minimum, and that's like a slap back almost. And then I love the amount of like noticeable, like you'll smack the strings, like it comes out later, So it's literally the delay time, but you're kind of using that as a pre-delay before it hits the Belton Brick.
Yes, before it hits the reverb portion. As the pre-delay, the echo is actually a PT2399 chip.
Okay.
And then the reverb is achieved through that Belton Brick, which in itself is actually, I think it's 3 PT2399s, kind of in their own proprietary circuit.
Right.
You just buy, like I have one here. That's
cool.
Buy this thing, and it does reverb. And I think on its own it sounds pretty cool, but I think what's really fun about it, I guess going back to your what problem was I trying to solve? Like, I like reverb,
Hmm.
but I generally like my amp reverb because it's just I just like it more. There's a lot of reverb pedals out there that are based on the FV1 chip, which is a really cool chip, and there's a lot of people who do really cool stuff with it.
Yeah.
Like Old Blood Noise does amazing stuff with it. But I always feel like the FV1 chips have a sound to them.
Hmm.
Like even if you have different pedals that are using that same chip, sometimes there's a similar vibe to it.
Yeah.
And you're going to think that probably from a Belton based pedal too, but like I
Hmm.
wanted to do a reverb that wasn't DSP. I
Totally.
actually don't know how to do DSP yet.
Uh-huh.
That might be a challenge to do one day, but I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to do something that like I could just design without having to program something.
Totally. The Ancient Echoes is a PT2399 delay chip that sort of acts as like the pre-delay into a Belton Brick system. And it is those two components that sort of create this very unique reverb tail that other reverb pedals sort of aren't able to achieve. What you get is this sort of glistening, very pad-like reverb sound. And pushing the reflections and also the resonance sort of increases the delay tail. Beyond that, there are many ways to sort of shape your reverb tails with this unit. We talked about the echo now quite a bit, but there's kind of to me, two different tone controls. Really, there's the resonance and the dampen, and I guess but the thing is, I could be wrong on that. Is dampen more like a gate thing? Or
Dampen is like pretty much just a treble roll off.
oh, okay,
But it's where it's placed in the circuit. It actually has a huge impact on the how everything kind of like interacts. So like
yeah,
if you have it all the way down, right?
yeah. So
Um,
no dampening at all. Yeah,
no dampening at all,
yeah,
and then so it's just like the whole thing is just passing through, but as you turn it up it like rolls off some of the treble, but it's really crazy how much of an impact that has on the overall vibe of that reverb. And
yeah,
even like the reflections knob, like how it plays changes too, so
yeah.
which is
Totally. That's crazy. Because I mean, and how is dampen a bit different from resonance? I guess.
So resonance is actually directly linked to the Belton, and the Belton it controls the size of the reverb, like the delay time within the Belton chip.
Oh, okay, okay, got it.
So like as you increase resonance, it sounds more cavernous, but then when you play with dampen, it kind of changes that whole character. And then when you the reflections is the feedback loop going into all this, so it's like it, that's how you like get that like prolonged space. So all of it kind of changes like the space of the
Yeah,
reverb, I think. Yeah.
yeah.
So
So there's sort of two options at two different points in the circuit where you can kind of, finely tune your reverb tails. It's a lot of fun. In addition to that, there is actually a modulation section. It appears to be a simple, sine wave based modulation. Increasing the rate increases the rate of the modulation. So at the minimum position, we have a nice slow modulation on the reverb tails. And at the maximum position, you get lots of jiggle, and it's very fast paced.
so this like was inspired by so there's PT2399 chorus based pedals out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think the big famous one for DIY is like the Little Angel chorus.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
and that so I was like I wanted to add something to Ancient Echoes. I wanted to add more movement, more modulation. Um, and I was like trying to think of different ways to do it. And a lot of modulation you do directly onto the delay pot, and then it modulates the delay pot, and that's cool, but it wasn't the vibe I was looking for.
Mm.
So I was like studying that schematic, and it's not anything special. It's just um, it's a TL 07, what is it? 076?
Something like
Yeah,
that.
so yeah,
Yeah.
it's just whatever, a regular op amp, right?
Mm.
With like and I inspired by like the LFO from the Little Angel chorus, and then it's plugged into like pin 2 of the delay chip, which
Oh.
changes like sort of its like virtual ground, and it just kind of makes it wavy, and so at low delay settings it sounds like a chorus,
Mm.
because you can like get the depth and rate, and it's very chorus like.
Yeah.
And then, but as you increase the delay time, it kind of changes the vibe, and it gets almost like a tremolo effect
Oh,
going
okay.
on.
And
So
you mean literally the echo knob, right? If you change the echo knob, that's sort of the changing character.
yes,
Okay.
yeah. So like you can get like really seasick modulation going on if you like have the echo knob all the way down, and then you like turn the depth up and
Yeah.
the rate, it goes like
Yeah.
you know, and
Right.
then when you turn the echo up even more, it goes more like
Interesting.
so.
Okay. Lastly, I should probably talk about the sort of feedback and self-oscillation that this pedal can do. There are actually 3 different ways you can get this pedal to self-oscillate. The self-oscillation on this unit is incredibly musical, and the way that this oscillation works is a bit different than other Belton Brick based reverb pedals.
Like initially, a lot of times people do feedback with Belton, like they have the Belton do the feedback loop,
Okay.
which is cool, and you get like a droney sort of noise. But I had that for a while, but I just didn't really jive with it. It wasn't really my thing. So I was like, why don't you just put the feedback like a regular delay pedal like
Yeah.
in front, and then what happens then? And then it sounds cooler. And the Belton that I'm using is actually, it's got you can hook up a pot to it, so you can actually increase the size of the reverb.
Oh.
Where a lot of, I think, Belton based pedals use the older model where it's just like a fixed setting.
Yeah, it's just fixed. Yeah, yours feels
Yeah.
much more highly interactive, and it's a lot more fun to kind of twist the knobs and get like a custom Belton sound, which I could not do with a lot of my other Belton based reverb. So it's really cool. Again, I told you that there are 3 ways to get this thing to self oscillate, and there are. So you could move the reflections pot. That's the big knob over there. That's pretty cool. The reflections knob most generally is sort of like a repeats, right? So if you crank the reflections, you are starting to get the delay chip inside to repeat more often. As you push it towards the maximum, it will start to self-oscillate. So that's one way to do that. Alternatively, you can press this handy summon button. Here, that's the one next to the power button. And pressing the summon button eventually pushes the reflections to the maximum position. So what you're hearing is sort of, it's not instantaneous. It is not as if as soon as you press the summon knob, the reflections goes to maximum. There is sort of a curve to it. So when you press this, it takes a second and eventually reaches the maximum position. The best way to describe it is sort of like a ramp or like a swell. That is the type of sound that occurs when you press the summon knob. And the very last way to get this thing to self-oscillate is with a expression unit of some kind. And we all know there are many different kinds of expression units. The only one I have here with me is this sort of traditional Boss expression unit. However, there are many on the market. And with an expression unit like this, you have a lot more control of the reflection signal, right? And something that I observed when using the expression unit is that the level control is also linked at the same time with this expression unit. So what that means is that at the minimum position, right, there is no reverb level, and the reflections is at minimum, right? And as you kind of close your foot halfway, the level starts to increase, and so does the reflections. Right about here, we wouldn't be in self-oscillation territory quite yet, but as you push it to the maximum, the level goes to the maximum position, and the reflections also goes to the maximum position, and it's here where that extreme self-oscillation quality starts to happen. So what you're left with is an option to control the repeats and the reflections and the self-oscillation a lot more accurately than maybe using the summon knob. However, each avenue, each way towards self-oscillation is unique and produces different musical results that you might find useful. The Ancient Echoes is a highly interactive unit, and all of the tone shaping controls and modulation controls, as well as control over the pre-delay and Belton Brick system, allow you to really shape your reverb tails. It really lets you fit your reverb sound into a band setting or into a mix because there are so many options. Another thing that draws you in is sort of the art on the pedal. It's got this beautiful image that Ralph's wife actually designed, and the pedal ultimately just invites you to sort of stretch your preconceptions of what reverb is. This reverb is very mysterious and washed out. There are a lot of ways to really shape longer reverb tails. Despite the pedal being this sort of delay into a reverb, you don't ever notice it being a delay. At its core, it is a finely tuned reverb pedal that incorporates reverb and delay together to create this very mystical reverb sound. And I definitely recommend you check this out, along with the other pedals that Ralf and wonderful audio technology have to offer. This is a very wonderful unit, and I will definitely be using this on my board.